You want a Barbie camper? And what else? Doc McStuffin? And what else?
So my baby can fall.
Okay. You can have all of that, okay? Next year. Story time on how I found out my dad was my 4-year-old daughter. I'm not doing these for attention, for clout, for none of that. If I can tell my story and help somebody else, that's what I'm going to do. First thing I want to say is pay attention to your kids. Your girls, your boys, pay attention. It was the smallest thing that brought everything to light. Something that I could have absolutely overlooked, and I did not. Because I pay attention to my child. I look at everything. Now my husband in coach her. He ain't had time to coach her. And if my husband was doing anything to my baby, trust and believe I would have peeped that way before my dad even got there. Because I pay attention to my child. I'm so glad you asked me that. Because the comments has been filled with people saying, oh, he did it before. He did it before. And y'all were absolutely right. When I first made the video, I did say he never did anything to me. And I still stand on it. He never did anything to me.
So last night, I came across a deeply disturbing story that I feel compelled to share in hopes that it serves as a warning for anyone who might be in a similar situation or knows someone who is. Mariah Reynolds, a married woman and the mother of a beautiful 4-year-old girl, made a heartbreaking discovery. She caught her own father committing an unthinkable act against her child. In her shock and grief, Mariah decided to take to social media to expose the horrific abuse her family had been enduring at the hands of someone they trusted. Sharing her story was an incredibly brave step, and I hope this video encourages others to be more aware, vigilant, and conscious of the signs of abuse. This story is a reminder of the importance of protecting our loved ones and paying attention to situations that may seem off or uncomfortable.
Child, I look at everything. I pay attention to everything when it comes to her. I be paranoid, and it comes from my own childhood trauma. But anyways, so my dad lived about 2 hours from us. I had just finished school and I was about to start my extern. My husband worked during the day and I needed somebody to watch my daughter while I did my extern because she wasn't in school at the time. So my husband drove 2 hours, picked my dad up, brought my dad back to our house. So I started my extern. Everything was going good. Mind y'all, I ain't never told nobody this, but I was already paranoid. Like, it was something. I was paranoid that whole week. It was like little small stuff that was being done that kind of had me uneasy. But, okay, so the first thing was one day my husband was about to drop me off at my extern. It was like 8 in the morning. My daughter was in our room because my dad was in her room. So my baby was in the bed asleep. My husband and I, we were leaving the house. And we were outside, I want to say maybe 30 to 45 seconds. Because my husband, when we got in the car, he realized that he left something. And he got up to go in the house. And when he got to our bedroom door, my dad was at the door. Mind you, my baby is in there asleep. It's like 8 in the morning. Before we left out the house, we told him that she was sleeping. That was weird to me, but then again, you couldn't tell him nothing about his grandchild. He loved his grandchild. I was thinking, like maybe she was whining or something and he went to check on her, but my husband was like, she's asleep. Okay. So another time, it was like my second or third day of my extern. My baby was playing in there with him. And she came out and she was just standing in the living room. And I could see his shadow in the hallway, like with his hand, he was like beckoning her to come back to where he was, but he would never say it out loud, which was weird because it just called her name. But it was like he was silently beckoning her, like he didn't want us to hear or see that he was calling her in the back where he was. Okay. After that, I don't know. I wasn't even a week into my ex-time when we found this out. Like, okay, he was doing little weird stuff, just weird stuff. And mind y'all, like I said, I lived with my dad my whole life. He got a bunch of nieces, a bunch of granddaughters. Everybody loved him, man. Ain't nobody ever said nothing out the way about him. No rumors. He ain't never did nothing to nobody. Like, he was just a host of fun. Everybody loved him. Like, that's why I'm shocked and hurt, like, to this day. Like, it still bothers me every day. But anyways, so one day, my baby, she came in there, like, she was still, like, at night, she had, like, she was, at the time, she was still, like, with the bed. So, she had on a pull-up because it was nighttime and she was getting ready to go to bed. So, she lay out on the couch and she put her hand in her pull-up. So, red flag, flag on the play, I don't play it. Why your hands in your pull-up? But of course, I was like, babe, why you got your hand right there? Like, what's wrong? Where you get that from? Somebody did that to you? I'm asking questions. She was like, yes. So, I already know. When you questioning a child, you do not say a name. Like, you don't say nobody's name. Because, that child can just go with whatever you're saying. So I'm just like, somebody did that to you? I didn't say no name. Mind you, the only men in our house is my husband and my dad. And it could have been a woman. I got a bunch of cousins, whatever. It could have been a woman. So my husband, my dad, and sometimes my brother come around. But yeah, at the time, it was just us three in the house. So I'm like, somebody did that to you? And she's like, yeah. So I don't want to say a name. So I'm like, okay, baby, who did that? She was like, Papa. That's what she called my dad. I'm like, Papa, I'm trying to get some clarity. Papa changed you? Papa, what? Wiped you? Took you a bath? I can't say exactly what it was that she did. She showed me what he did. And she also said something that he did. And my heart just dropped. Like, dropped. I was crying so bad. I told my husband and my dad got into an altercation. And yeah, I called my auntie. My auntie lived down the street from me, and I told her. And she was like, oh, I just don't believe he did that. I don't believe, mind you, this my auntie on my mama's side. She was like, I don't believe he did that. Wait, I gotta do a part 2. Part 2 on how I found out my dad was saying my 4-year-old. And I'm emotional because I done recorded this part 2 like twice and it keep deleting, and I'm wondering if that's a sign, like, to just stop and let it go. But no. Okay, like I said, I called my auntie. My auntie was a police at the time in the town that we lived in. So, and she stayed right down the street. So naturally, I'ma call my auntie. I called my auntie. She came over, and I don't know if it was because I had just broke down crying, or because my husband and my dad was had just had a argument and was yelling. But when my auntie started asking my baby questions, she would not answer the questions. And my auntie literally told me right there in my face, like, okay, I don't believe this. And it's, my auntie might see this. Auntie, no hard feelings, but yeah, that hurt me. Anyways, so I'm getting emotional, y'all. Hold up. Okay, so my auntie said she didn't believe it and told me to take my baby to the hospital, which I was going to do anyway. I ain't see anything, but I still wanted to take her to get checked up. So we took her to the hospital. When the doctor came in, she told us off jump, like, usually you don't find no type of physical evidence with cases like that. But my baby ended up telling the doctor the same thing that she told us. And they called, okay, we went to the hospital in Memphis because it's the closest hospital to the children's hospital in Memphis. It's the closest children's hospital near us, even though we stay in Mississippi. So they end up calling the police from Mississippi, because that's where we lived, to the hospital in Memphis. And the police that call, that's the station that my auntie work in. So they came, took our statements or whatever, and the doctor had just told us that she saw something, and it could have came from constipation, like some strain with constipation, or it could have came from something else. And they could have taken her somewhere else and did an invasive testing, but it wasn't recommended. So I told my auntie that. And like I said, the woman wasn't sure where it came from. And I didn't want to do the invasive testing. So, of course, that's not going in nobody's paperwork or whatever. So my auntie was getting access to the files or whatever. So she called, like, talking about she didn't see anything about, what I had just said. Of course you don't see it. We don't even know if that's where it came from, That upset me so bad because you don't believe her, and now you looking at files talking about what you don't see. So anyways, they made it to where my auntie couldn't even access those files anymore because I was so upset. And hardly nobody. Well, at first everybody was like, "Oh, that's so sad," and he wrong for that. But a year later, everybody his best friend, y'all. Everybody his best friend. Everybody always talk to him, and he miss y'all, and this, that, the third, y'all. My family, my mama people. Oh, you don't think she got that off YouTube? What's YouTube? Yeah, that is so hurtful. For people to doubt your child, that's hurtful. But I understand a little bit because of his character. Like I said, we all grew up together. My cousins, I got plenty of girl cousins. He got plenty of granddaughters, nieces. He never did this to none of us. None of us, y'all. He never made us feel uncomfortable in no type of way. My mom died when I was 14 years old. I lived with my dad my whole life. He got full custody of me. My dad never made me feel uncomfortable. He never did nothing to me. Never said nothing to me out the way. But the way my daughter said what she said, the way she demonstrated what he did to her, I would be a fool to deny my child. I would be a fool to just sweep that under the rug and be like, "Oh, she 4 years old. She don't know what she's talking about. That came off YouTube." Y'all, these folks set up an interrogation for my baby 2 weeks after this incident happened. And I thought, it's 2 weeks later. My baby ain't gonna remember that. Y'all, when there's some truth to what your child is saying, one thing about it, when you lie or when you being untruthful, you gotta, it's hard to remember. But 2 weeks later, my 4-year-old went into the interrogation room with the police, the CPS worker, and the child therapist and repeated the same thing. She even told them stuff that she didn't even tell us because she was afraid to tell us. 45-minute long interrogation 2 weeks later. She did what needed to be done. That's the exact thing that the CPS worker said to me when they came out of their room. She was like, she did a good job. She said what needed to be said. They sent that tape over to a grand jury or something like that, y'all. That was a year ago. I don't know what's going on. So I've been messed up. I can't lie. My dad was literally all I had. All I had. My best friend, literally. So the fact that he did this to us, and I gotta sit up here a whole year later and my baby come to me and she say she miss her papa. My baby want to see him. She wants to go to his house. She want to know why he didn't just apologize. She said, Mama, why didn't we just let him apologize? Why didn't we do that in the first place? Why he couldn't apologize like a real friend do? I had to explain to her, it don't work like that, baby. What he did, that's not right. You can't just let somebody do that to you and forgive them. She don't understand. And I'm fighting with this every day because not only did this happen to my child, but I lost my best friend in the midst of that. Because if you know me, you know that my daddy was literally my best friend. I'm talking about on the phone 4 and 5 times a day. Like, that's what kind of bond we had. And people want to know, like, why I be so angry at my family. Like, why wouldn't I be? I'm getting emotional. I gotta go. I'm so glad you asked me that, because the comments has been filled with people saying, oh, he did it before. He did it before. And y'all were absolutely right. When I first made the video, I did say he never did anything to me. And I still stand on it. He never did anything to me. I never heard about him doing anything to anybody. But since the video, people have been talking. Like, I didn't expect it to go viral like it did. But yeah, people have been talking. People are mad, but that's another story. He did it to somebody else. And that person is not going to come forward. And I would be wrong if I sat here and said, yeah, he did it to so-and-so, so-and-so. That's not my story to tell. I wish everybody would come forward, but I can't make nobody come forward. And I can't tell their story. Maybe one day she'll have the courage to come forward. But I can't tell her story. Just know that it was not his first time. And she's had a hard time dealing with it. And I'm going to say that no, she did not come to me directly, but she did vent to someone else. So yeah, it's been a lot since I posted the video. I never knew that people would take my truth so personal, especially when it's the truth. Like, how you gonna be mad at something you did to me? How can you feel a way about something that happened to my child? You mad at the way you reacted to something. Nah, my husband didn't coach her. He ain't had time to coach her. And if my husband was doing anything to my baby, trust and believe I would have peeped that way before my dad even got there. because I pay attention to my child. I would have peeped it. My baby said who did what to her, okay? And if she had said that it was my husband, he would have been gone too. Because don't nobody come before my child. Ain't that much love in the world. I never put nobody before my child. I would have never put my husband before my dad either. So what are you even talking about? You stupid if you think I'm going to sit up here and blame the man who raised me, my dad. And it's a possibility that it wasn't him. No. My daughter ain't crazy. She know who did what to her. Y'all just be saying anything. And you gonna talk about he never touched you or any of his nieces. I can only speak for myself, first of all. Nah, he ain't never touched me. He ain't never said nothing out the way. He ain't never did nothing out the way. And I never heard anything bad about him from his nieces, grandkids, whatever. But guess what? I can only speak for me, like I said. Some people don't have the courage to come forward. So he could have did something to somebody and they not say nothing. Everybody don't speak up, but I am, for me and my daughter. You say you unsure. Okay, go be unsure. Go sit right on over there with my other folks. I'm not unsure. I'm positive. I believe my baby. I believe everything she say. I don't care about my child. Really? I don't care about my child. Y'all really get on here and say anything that comes on y'all little ass brain. I did everything that I was supposed to do for my child. Everything. And I'm sorry if I haven't cut my whole family off completely. Let me do that on my own time. And y'all talking about they're not going to protect your daughter. They don't have to. That's my job. They don't have to. My daughter is with me 24/7. These people that y'all are speaking of do not have my child. My child is with me. It's not like, oh, they picking her up every day and she going to stay all night at this person's house, or she spending a day here or there. No. My child is with me. So who cares if they're not going to protect her? I am. Her dad is. Y'all crazy.